Dev in? More like Dev out. No one. I'm Ray Myers. Welcome to Craft versus Cruft. And as we speak, it is March 24th, 2024, the year of formal methods. And just 12 days ago, Cognition Labs, a startup, came out of stealth mode and into a $21 million Series A round with their demo announcement called Devin, which they are branding as, quote, the first AI software engineer. Now, it is not that, which we'll get to in a minute, but it is nonetheless really cool. And there have been a number of attempts in the past to move from what we call coding assistants, things like the cursor editor I quite like, things like GitHub Copilot. An open source example is continue.dev. To go from that to something that has a little more autonomy, something that can complete a higher level task of several different steps and prompts. And this is probably the most polished attempt to do so yet. We're really excited to use it, and there has been a lot of buzz. In fact, so much excitement, I'd say, that just 3 days after the announcement by Cognition Labs, a Discord server called Can Beat Devin had already been stood up and gathered 800 people. It's currently over 1,000. Now, different sub-teams have spun up here with different efforts. Some of them started on the spot for this. Some of them that had been chugging along for a while, and this is kind of a refocusing of the effort. As you can see, we've got Mender.AI, we've got Open Devin, Devin Killer, Open Agents, NextPy, which is a pretty interesting framework they've been working on for a while. You've got different angles people have. Are we working on benchmarking? Do we want to have a wrapper or no wrapper? Meaning, should we wrap a third-party AI vendor like OpenAI or Anthropic or Google? Or should we be, fine-tuning our own self-hosted models? So check that out if you like. I'd like to talk a little bit about Can We Beat Devin in terms of what does this even mean? First of all, what is Devin? Not who, but what. And what does beating Devin mean? What might we even want to beat Devin at? And I will point out that Scott Wu, head of Cognition, and a lot of his coworkers are competition programmers formerly of a very high level. Like they've medaled in some cases in national competitions. Now, I used to do the regional circuit back in the day myself. I think I understand the mentality enough that it's understood when we talk about beating each other, right? This is friendly competition. They have thrown down the gauntlet. We are orienting in terms of this is very interesting. This is very useful. Nothing but love and respect. From the point of view of quote unquote beating Devin, just want to say. So again, as I say, no disrespect to Cognition Labs as we poke at what their demo can and cannot do. I know we're looking forward to getting to try it when it opens up for availability and see how this goes forward. Very interesting stuff. I do want to have one quibble with them that just, get that out of the way, which is the branding as an AI software engineer. I don't think that is the right way to go. I don't think we should be referring to things of this level as a software engineer. You may recognize this picture. This is a software engineer. Her name is Margaret Hamilton. In fact, she is credited with coining the term software engineer. She did that while she was working at NASA as a team lead, writing the software for the Apollo moon landing. That code was in a form of assembly language. It looked like this. It's on GitHub. You can read it. And her team developed ways, rules, disciplines of being able to avoid certain kinds of failures. And mind you, the consequence of the code not working the way it needed to on the very first time it got to run in its production environment in this case would be that everyone involved would die. For reasons such as underscoring the discipline they were developing and providing professional respect for her colleagues, she therefore coined the term software engineer as they were working with other types of engineers on an overall systems engineering project, the Apollo mission. If you get a chance to read one of her papers or watch a talk, she's got some online. She has some very interesting things to say that I think are still applicable today about how we make software engineering work better. Another person who more recently has said some very awesome things is Dave Farley. He wrote previously a book called Continuous Delivery. He has this newer one called Modern Software Engineering, and it's a good compilation of what we know at this point. Now, I don't want to put words in either of these people's mouths or other people who have written interesting stuff on software engineering, such as Turing Award winner Fred Brooks. But I suspect that if you looked over their work in context and any level of detail, you would agree that a demo that is capable of downloading a project from GitHub, running it, and then adding a couple print statements does not, in fact, constitute a software engineer. Now, I have invited Cognition Labs to provide their definition of what they think a software engineer is. They have not responded. If they do, I will update this in my corresponding blog post with their answer. But ultimately, I get it. It's marketing. There is a tremendous amount of AI hype right now, and you have to make kind of bombastic statements about what you're building in order to get any kind of headway. I think what will be prevailing in the long term is accuracy, is building trust that when you say you're going to give someone something, that's exactly what you're giving them. But, we'll see how this develops. I should suggest an alternative to what to call these things if I don't think we should call this style of application AI software engineer, because I do think it is an important enough type of application to give a name. Coding agent is sort of the jargon within, AI and ML that we have been using for these kinds of things like AIDR, like GPT engineer. Copilot is a coding assistant. The difference between an assistant and an agent would be the level of autonomy that it has. Can it carry out many prompts in sequence, carrying out a higher level task? So coding agent doesn't have much of a ring to it. It's more jargon. What might we call these? I suggest we call them autonomous coders, for instance, and these will fall into an umbrella of autonomous dev tools. Maybe you have another suggestion. So that's the category of thing that Devin is. What actually is it? Well, this is a screen cap from the demo. And on the left, you can see you've got a chat interface like you would use in ChatGPT, and you use that to give it tasks and give it feedback on them, maybe. And on the right, you can sort of see into what it's doing. It's got its own code editor. It's got its own command line shell. It's even got its own web browser, which it can use to get additional information in carrying out the task. And it's got this planning thing on which would be the far right tab that you can see, what are the steps it has taken and that it intends to take. Very nice. And I think it all just sort of fits together. I think this is a good model to kind of go from in terms of how one might interact with one of these coding agents a little better than we figured out so far. There's another important aspect of the Devin announcement, which is that they have announced state-of-the-art performance on a benchmark. That benchmark is SWE-bench. It is taken with cases in the examples you have us solve in the benchmark from real pull requests that real people have solved in real open source Python repositories on GitHub. So this is a very good step. SWE-bench, I'm a big fan because previously with human eval and other benchmarks, it was isolated tasks that all took place within a single little section of a file, often just writing things anew. If you've watched this channel at all, I emphasize that is far outside of the real challenges that exist in software engineering. So you must complete a task within the context of a real repo. You must navigate it. You must keep it working. That is a great step. And as you can see, their state-of-the-art performance is almost 14%. Excellent. Now, what they're being compared to here is models. Not like a full agent that's been crafted for this purpose, pretty much. Just sort of the models in isolation in combination with some minor help given by the benchmark. So this very clearly demonstrates, I mean, maybe how good their agent is, but just generally, like to perform on tasks such as these, you need an agent. You need orchestration around the LLM. Models do not get us all the way there. Here. Thank you for making that clearer to people. A lot of us have been saying that for a while. So that's what Devin is. Can we beat Devin? This could mean a number of things. So let's take this point by point. What a lot of people have been talking about, not so much what the Discord was founded to pursue. They were pursuing an open source reproduction of the result. But what a lot of people have been talking about around social media is, can we compete literally as people with tools like this that are here, that are coming? Are we all going to lose our jobs? Frankly, I think that possibility is so far from clear and present right now as to be laughable. I don't see a lot of point even engaging with it right now, but I have a video, which is my best attempt to answer that I put out last year called Will AI Democratize Programming? Link in the description. The history of programming has a lot of attempts, some successful, some otherwise, at streamlining the process, and it's good. It should be encouraged. It doesn't generally eliminate programming. Sometimes it changes it, sometimes for the better. 2, can we make an open source experience that is similar, that feels similar to the Devin demo? Yes, I think absolutely we can. It's a little tricky. Execution containers and browser automation, gluing it all together. But I think we can. I think we should. I predict let's say 2 to 4 months on that. So some uncertainty in that range, but I think around that time, you'll have something you'll be able to download, self-host, and have a similar experience to what you're seeing in these demos. 3, can an open source agent beat specifically the 14% in Swebench unassisted? Again, yes, I predict 2 months. I've talked with some people about a specific approach that I believe within 1 month will hit 10% unassisted Swebench. And I'll talk more about that when I'm able to write down the details clearly for you. But again, I think we can reproduce this result in a few months' time. I think we should reproduce this result. Mind you, that's not to say that means we beat Devin for good. They might come the next week and say, hey, actually now Devin has 20%. That's great. It's a competition. The point of a benchmark is one person takes it to the next level, but the difference between what they're doing and the open source effort, all respect to them, is if an open source agent produces that, then everyone in the world will know how it was done. And I think the significance of what we're trying to do with software development necessitates that we do things like that. I mentioned Swebench a couple times. You should go check that out. When I talk about the assisted versus unassisted score, there's a very specific thing that refers to. In the assisted version, they give the model or the agent that is being tested the exact files that it needs to modify in order to complete the task and submit a working pull request. With unassisted, the agent must navigate the entire source code repository in order to find the files that it needs to change that are relevant to this problem statement. That is much more difficult. That is why in the unassisted score, even Mighty GPT-4 has near 0. So this really highlights the need for specifically enabling tools to help us navigate the repository, in order for LLMs to perform well on real world tasks. And just like we build things into our editors that help us easily navigate these code bases, right? In summary, we can beat Devin in a friendly competition. They may beat us the next day. That's okay. We'll keep going. And we'll have some fun and hopefully improve software development a little bit. It is Swebench or bust right now. It is specifically benchmarks, and there may be more coming that kind of improve further on this approach, but things that operate on a repository, on a large piece of legacy code that already exists. That is where we need to focus with the coding benchmarks right now, at least one of the big areas, in my opinion. Other minor note, if you're looking into contributing to this, working on this, hey, I think you should. I think that's great. Try and find some other people who are also working on it, coordinate with what's already going on. It's all moving quite fast. As I mentioned, there's that Discord server. There's other places, I'm sure. And MIT license among the people I've been working with is what we've settled on as the one by default we would contribute new code onto GitHub under. Sweetbench itself was released under MIT, so we sort of just agreed if we just follow that lead, then we'll be consistent. We'll be able to have the minimum friction in terms of being able to share code and things. Well, thank you for watching, everyone. If you're a new viewer, welcome. Feel free to leave a comment, reach out to me on LinkedIn, what have you. I try to respond to all the comments on these videos. If you'd like to subscribe, then I'll see you soon. You can also check me out at Mender.AI. And if you're not a new viewer, then you already know, as Lao Tzu said in the Tao Te Ching, with patience, the most tangled cord may be undone. Thank you.